Watkonuradu KahnawakeTV Sky-Deer Yujats Ahondu iente Ratitsénhaienhs. So this is going to be a new segment that I will be utilizing to keep the community informed and updated on what's happening at the MCK and what's happening in the community. Today is the 29th of September 2021. It's the first initial try at this, and I think it's important. So hope you'll stick around for the duration. I might talk a while because there's a lot. Obviously, since the election in July, the first little while was a whirlwind of media requests. Obviously, history in the making. First woman Grand Chief here in Kahnawake. And I'm really excited about working with this current council. Just initially the gelling that has been happening at the table and, getting to know each other, already establishing, good working relationships. The entire summer was basically an orientation process, bringing all of the council members up to date on all the 16 portfolios that we have. There's a lot of work, that we do on behalf of this community. So letting them know what has been done to date. And then we went into trauma training, which of course we know is really important right now with what so many people in our community are feeling impacts, not only from the residential schools, the finding of the mass graves, COVID, the pandemic, vaccine passports. There's so much on our plates right now as Kahnawake, and I pray for this community regularly and just hope for the best for us that we can get through this. And I honestly feel if right now is like the lowest in terms of what people are feeling, it can only get better from here. But what's important is that we stick together. And some of the stuff that came out at that trauma training was about, looking at everything we've been through in 500 years and not blaming each other. The lateral violence, the bullying, the things that we do to each other, we need to recognize that those are symptoms of the assimilation and the colonization that our people have experienced. Because when you cannot address it with the governments or, with any other entity or body that has done these things to our people, we take it out on each other. So being aware and cognizant of that and how we deal with each other. We always say about Zinigwarihoda and Gayanarego and coming from a place of Skana and Ganigorio, like we need to remember those principles now more than ever. So yeah, after we had the trauma training, we had governance training, because it's important that the people that you elect in leadership, that we know how to do our jobs, that we know what effective governance is, that we know what leadership is, that we understand our roles, boundaries, limitations, and how we're accountable to the community. And, we embarked on saying we're going to try new things in this term. And, we were out there, we were meeting with community, and of course, certain things with the directives and a number of people at gatherings has definitely limited our ability to do that, to have that kind of engagement that we wanted to have with the community. So we are looking at ways right now. I think there's a survey out there of wanting to see how the community sees that we could restructure the way community meetings used to be run, and what we think would be a good way of doing that into the future. Because obviously decisions aren't made at community meetings if it's just for information purposes. Maybe we need to look at different formats, because it has definitely, got some negative reviews over the years, right? And the way the old band style meetings used to go in the 80s, and people feeling, intimidated that they don't want to be called out or called down or whatever was the way things used to go. But I think, in today, we could find ways to maybe even have doing a Honda Gariwadekwa and having maybe somebody to moderate the meeting so that it doesn't get like that, and that the community can also, self-regulate and say when people start, conducting themselves in those kind of ways, that it's not going to be tolerated and accepted, because everybody has a voice. Everybody's opinions matter, and they need to be validated and they need to be heard. And I think, a lot of times we're so worried about when people have a differing opinion from us, like, oh, that one, or, and we got to find a way to have healthy, respective dialogue. So that's what we were looking forward to. And I'm hopeful in the next little while that we could maybe try a different format, and so stay tuned with that. So yeah, the governance training went well. I think it was an eye-opener for the 5 new Ratitsénhaienhs who are now on the council. And the last 2 initiatives that we went through was our priority setting. So within each of those, well, actually, let me back up. Before that, we did the portfolio distribution. So the 16 portfolios that we have, you know, we went around and we discussed and deliberated who would be the most effective people to carry these files on behalf, or portfolios on behalf of the community. And obviously one of our principles is that every single Ratitsénhaienhs has to be the lead on one. So obviously there's 12 of us, there's 16 portfolios. There are a few of us who have more than one. I am one of them. The portfolios that I'm responsible for is external government relations, as well as I am the lead on governance. You know, the governance work in the last term was so important, getting, you know, the, I'll call it the governance manual. It's a binder this thick, and it has all of the, you know, documents that basically impact the council, how we function, how decisions are made, how we're remunerated. Some new documents came into effect. The consultation with Gerald Alfred and Jessica Lazar before she became Ratitsénhaienhs, going out into the community and saying, well, where do you think there's a void in these documents? You know, we have the election law, so forth. So we now have a code of conduct, which wasn't there before. Disciplinary measures regulations. We know we have a request to amend the election law, so that's definitely going to be some of the work that's upcoming. As well, we have what's called Phase 3 governance. We want to know, what does the community want for governance in the future? If you're not happy with the elected system, we always know there's been that 79 mandate to return to a traditional government. Is that what we want? Do we want an amalgamation of the two? Can they coexist? So we want to hear from the community, and that's going to be that phase of engagement, whether it's going house to house, family to family. We want to hear, because even right now we're hearing, you know, a lot of frustration in the community about, you know, the directives and the way that we've been trying to manage this pandemic. But what people have to realize, this is unprecedented. None of us have ever been through anything like this before. And whether you agree with the decisions, you agree with the directives, you have to understand at the end of the day, we're all just trying to do the best to keep our community, our families, our elders, our children safe. And I know it's tough times, and that's why I said if our community can get through this, I don't think there's anything we can't get through. So, and then after we did the portfolios, it was priority setting. There's so much going on in this community. You know, even as we ran in the election, different platforms, different things that people thought were the most important. Housing came up so much, the wellness and overall health of our community, wanting to see, you know, more resources out there for that. Obviously, the governments are always, you know, looking at different projects and initiatives that impact our lands, whether it's Kahnawake proper, projects going on beyond. So obviously there was the recent announcement of our partnership with Hydro-Québec, which I think is unprecedented and groundbreaking for Ohén people, that finally we have recognition of our lands, and that they're willing to be a true partner with us for the infrastructure. And, you know, the potential there is you know, at this point, we'll see. But I'm really excited about it. I got a chance to meet the president of Hydro-Québec, who is a woman, Sophie Bouchou. She came here to Kahnawake, and we had a very good exchange, also willingness to contribute to a community initiative or project. We know we're about to launch the capital campaign for our new cultural center museum project. It's a multi-million-dollar project. We're going to be looking for, you know, people to contribute to that. We need to raise $7 million. It's ambitious, but I believe we can do it. You know, there's also a campaign right now for the roof at the lacrosse rink in town. So, you know, when our community, when we want to do something, we really find a way to pull together. So, yeah, at this point, like I said, I'll do these updates every 3 months just to let you know You know, there will also be Chiefs on Cut every week. We have our MCK Friday that we're on K103 every 2 weeks. We're constantly putting out press releases. We have our Kahnawake.com website where you could find any information with regard to Mohawk Council of Kahnawake and what's happening. And yeah, so it's been a really interesting 3 months, I'll say. You know, I'm really, I know people are concerned and think, you know, it's a lot, and it is, but, you know, as I said from the get, I'm up for the challenge. Anybody who's known me growing up in this community, I'm not one to back down. I'm a competitor. I care about this community. I grew up here. I was raised here. Yeah, I lived away for a little while, but you know what? It only made me a stronger person, valuing our community, what we have. You know, people take it for granted, you know, that we have all our family is close to us. So, you know, that's another thing that also becomes a threat, right, in this this global pandemic, that because we are so close-knit and we're constantly interacting with our family, our friends, you know, people we care about, that that's why it's at a higher risk. So with that, I guess I don't want to take too much of your time, but just to let you know that I will be continuing to do these updates quarterly. Again, I'm always open for people to reach out to me if you want to discuss any matters pertaining to politics of our community or what else is happening. I'm just a phone call away. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again at the next Ohén iente Ratitsénhaienhs update. Tony again,